All right, so today we're taking a deep dive, and get this, into managers and decision-making.
Ooh, sounds a little dry, huh?
Yeah, maybe at first glance, but trust me, this stuff is way more interesting than it sounds. We've got some really cool sources lined up, by the way.
I've been looking through them, yeah. And it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's like we think we know what a manager does and how decisions get made, but then, boom, you start digging into the details and it's a whole different world.
Totally. It's like every choice, every action, there's so much going on behind the scenes.
Exactly. So our mission today, unmasking all of that.
Love it. Let's do this.
So first things first, let's define manager, right? The source says a manager is a person responsible for overseeing operations to achieve business goals. Simple enough.
Well, I mean, yeah, on the surface, but let's break that down for a second. Overseeing operations. That one little phrase covers a whole lot of ground.
True. It's not just about telling people what to do, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, not even close. Think about it. A manager might be dealing with a whole team of people, figuring out their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to get the best out of everyone.
Oh, right. And then you've got resources, money, materials, all that jazz.
Yep. Got to allocate those wisely. And then, of course, there's the big picture stuff. Strategy. Planning for the future. Trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Whoa, okay. So it's a pretty demanding gig then.
Definitely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
But when it's done right, it's pretty incredible what a good manager can achieve.
Yeah, I mean, our source brought up Tim Cook as an example, leading Apple. Talk about high pressure.
Right. And think about all the decisions he has to make.
Oh, yeah, keeping Apple innovative, releasing new products, all that.
Exactly. But at the same time, got to keep the shareholders happy too, make sure the company's profitable, meeting its targets.
So there's a balancing act going on there.
Absolutely. It's this constant tension between pushing boundaries and staying financially stable. And a manager needs to be able to navigate all of that.
That's wild. And that kind of brings us to the other big concept we're tackling today, decision-making itself.
Yeah. So the source defines it as the process of identifying options and choosing a specific course of action.
Okay. So again, seems pretty basic.
Mm-hmm.
But is it really that straightforward?
Well, in theory, maybe, but in reality, it's way more messy. First of all, identifying options. That's a whole process in itself. You got to gather information, do your research, and even then you might not have the full picture.
Oh, I see what you mean. And then even once you have your options, how do you actually choose?
Right. That's where things get even trickier. What are the risks involved with each option? What are the potential rewards? And then there's the whole question of desired outcomes. What are you ultimately trying to achieve?
Yeah, and then you've got external factors to consider too, stuff you can't control.
Exactly. So it's this multi-layered process with tons of variables. And to make things even more complicated, sometimes the right decision isn't always clear-cut.
Right. And that reminds me of the example from our source about Starbucks eliminating those plastic straws. Seemed like a good move, right? Environmentally conscious, all that.
For sure. But think about the decision-making process behind that. First of all, what were the alternatives to plastic straws?
Oh, right. And then, were the alternative more expensive? Did that affect their bottom line?
Exactly. And what about customer reactions? Did they do any, market research to gauge how people would feel about it?
Hadn't considered that. And then there's the logistics of it all, sourcing new materials, retraining staff, all that.
It's a massive undertaking. And that, my friend, is why manager and decision-making are so intertwined.
Yeah, it's every decision a manager makes has these ripple effects.
Yeah.
And it's their job to, anticipate those effects as much as possible.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so challenging, but also so rewarding. It's this constant puzzle. And the stakes can be pretty high. Totally. So basically what we've learned today is that being a manager is all about navigating complexity and making those tough decisions, even when there's no easy answer.
Right. And the cool thing is, this stuff isn't just relevant to CEOs and executives.
Oh, definitely. It's relevant to all of us.
Think about it. We all make decisions every single day, some big, some small. But understanding the process, the factors involved, the potential pitfalls, they can help us make better choices.
Totally. Whether you're leading a team at work, planning a family vacation, or even just deciding what to have for dinner.
Exactly. It all comes back to these core concepts. So I'll leave you with this. How can you apply what we've discussed today to your own life? What decisions are you facing right now? And how can you approach them in a more strategic, informed way?
Good question. Some food for thought, for sure.